welcome to the latest episode of my Hello and welcome to the latest episode of my Knitting Creative Podcast. My name on Instagram is Orchid's Heart and I'm coming to you from Birmingham in England. How are you doing? This is my second time recording this. I recorded it a couple of weeks ago and went to edit it last night, and it was unusable because the light was completely chaos. It was focusing in and out and it was a bit of a disaster. So yeah, but that's okay because I have a few more things to share. I am wearing my Laax sweater by Caitlin Hunter. However, it's been heavily modified. I shared a lot about knitting this jumper in a previous episode quite a long time ago. I think the thumbnail would show a picture of the yoke. But in summary, I don't recommend the pattern at all. I think it was really badly written. And I have reasons for that. I shared it in my previous video. But the yarn I used is the colourwork is minis from the Yarnedelic range by John Arbon in the worsted weight. And the main colour is, I think, the BFL fleece yarn by West Yorkshire Spinners. And the colour was Fossil. I think that was it. Yeah. I mean, it has pilled a bit, but it is a very skin soft yarn. And I have worn it a lot. It's a cropped length and I'm wearing it over a Hinterland dress that I made a very long time ago. Just checking it's done up because I just fed the baby. So so it's made from quite a heavy duty linen cotton mix with buttons down the front. I don't know how well you can see it really, to be honest, but it's quite a workhorse dress. Because it's got quite a tough, I don't know, homey vibe to it. I find it quite a good dress to wear when I'm doing things in the house and stuff like that. So I didn't originally intend to record this morning. It's a bit of an unusual day for us. It's a Friday. Normally a Friday I'm with the baby all day, but the nursery owed us some hours, so it was actually booked in this afternoon. So it was a bit of a chaos trying to get the afternoon nap to actually happen in the morning, which has given me a bit of a short window of time to record. So I thought, given that the footage I looked at last night was so shocking in terms of light quality, that I would try again. So yeah, I have a couple of small finished objects to share, a couple of whips, and some future plans, and some very, very minor acquisitions to go with those future plans. And I'm just finishing off my stone cold cup of jasmine tea, which I made before I put the baby down for a nap. So inevitably, by the time I was finished, it was cold. Still enjoying drinking it. And you might be able to hear the fire crackling in the background. And I'm sorry if you can hear my partner cutting whatever it is on the roof on the renovation opposite. He just told me he was finished, and I just heard him go again. So that's annoying. So yeah, for those of you who are new, we are in the midst of a massive 3-year house renovation. Not of the house we're living in, but the house we're going to live in a couple of years' time. It will be our family home. I have one little boy who has recently turned 1. And so where we live now currently doesn't have a garden. It's not particularly family friendly. It's very cold, drafty. The houses here are all quite old. I think not quite old by English standards, but if you're American, quite old. So the house we're moving to, we're hoping to fully insulate it, make it bright, comfortable, warm, easier to live in, especially with a young child. So yeah, that's what we're hoping for. So that's why you could hear that noise, probably. It was quite loud for me. But yeah, so that's kind of what I've been up to. I was really ill again recently, so it's taken me a little while to record, but it doesn't seem that long to you guys because the last 2 videos I actually recorded way in advance. So for me it feels like it's been ages, apart from the one that went wrong. So anyway, we're going to start babbling. Stop babbling, not start. I'm going to share my first finished object, which when I shared it in the video that you did not see, they were all new and sparkly, and now I have been wearing them, so I'm sorry. I'm going to share with you socks I've worn, but only once, so hopefully they're okay. And that is these. So these are just some plain vanilla socks knitted with Nomadic Yarn's Yak sock base. So Nomadic Yarns is a hand dyer based in America. I bought this from someone's D-stash, or maybe Canada. I'm not sure. But I bought it from someone's D-stash in America, and when my brother was on holiday over there visiting family last year, he brought it back for me. Because I was really, like, Nomadic Yarns colours are quite nice. This isn't her most attractive colourway for me, but it was one that was available on the yak base, which makes the yarn, it has like a grey undertone, so it gives it moodier colours and less bright than on a normal merino nylon sock blend. So I think this is merino, nylon and yak. Now, after acquiring it, I realised it was probably going to be quite similar to using a merino cashmere nylon blend, and I found when I have knit socks with that I basically walk the cashmere out. I don't know, I get these tufts of soft fibre under the soles of my feet that kind of come away from the socks, and I'm sure it's the shorter cashmere fibres sort of wearing out. So we'll see if the same thing happens. They are bobbling quite quickly and softening very quickly, so I'm not sure they're going to be particularly hard wearing, which is a shame because I knit them quite long in the leg to wear with my boots, and I don't know if that's going to be a mistake, and they're more likely going to be house socks. I do have a bit of a problem with my slippers where I absolutely love them. Got one now actually. These, they're by a company called Gumby's. I wear them all the time because we've got really rough wooden floors, and so they're basically house shoes, and they've got really thick soles, so if I do need to pop out the front door and grab something, it's not the end of the world. But because they're so wide, my socks tend to kind of fall down when I'm wearing them. So, bit of a pain. So these have already started to like fall down and sag when I'm wearing them. And these are knit 60 stitches on 2mm needles with a 2x2 rib and then 1 row of purl. So they are very close fitting. I knit nearly all of my socks 60 stitches, 2mm needles, because they fit me really well with a slip stitch heel. But it is a bit of a problem with my slippers, to be honest. I look forward to living in a house where floorboards aren't as rough and I can just wear socks. I think that would be really lovely, and maybe less hard going on my socks. But yeah, so that's a very simple sock knit. My next finished object is something that I've been umming and ahhing about knitting for a really long time, and is a mixed success. So a long time ago I bought in at someone's D-stash some hand-dyed yarn by Viola Yarns, which is a yarn dyer based in Canada. She no longer dyes yarn. I think when I bought it she was contemplating going over to natural dyes and then decided she wasn't going to do that either. She is the one that wrote the book Knits About Winter. I'm not really sure what she's up to anymore. But anyway, the person that sent me that yarn that I bought in the D-stash also sent me some small amounts of Nutidin for me to try because she knew that I wanted to try. And it was in, pretty easy to show them inside, these two colours, this like bluish grey green colour and then this browny grey. And there wasn't enough to knit anything major, but I thought I'd knit a colourwork cowl because I wanted to hold it single. And Nutidin does bobble because it's an unspun yarn, so I thought something with less friction would be better. Didn't fancy knitting a hat, and so I thought I'd knit a cowl. And I was umming and ahhing about which pattern. I thought about buying a pattern, and then I thought, well, this is kind of silly. A cowl is just a tube, and I have lots of colourwork charts from all the different colourwork sweaters I've knit. So I used the charts from the jumper pattern Tuku by Petite Knitter, which I knit as a sweater a couple of years ago, maybe last year. No, year before. I knit it when I was pregnant. But because they're on a yoke, there are increases in the yoke, and so I had to elongate some of the charts. So this isn't the right numbers, but say for instance the bottom of the colourwork chart was like an 18 stitch repeat. The motif before might have had 16 stitches, and then one before might have been 14 and then 12. I wanted them all to have 16 stitches, and so some of them I added like bigger gaps between the different parts of the motif, or I just made the motif itself a bit wider because it was like a snowflake pattern. So I just made some of the snowflakes a bit wider. So they were all the same number of stitches wide, so that I could knit it as a tube, rather than if I'd knit it as directed in the sweater pattern, obviously it would have been a cone, the shape of a yoke of a jumper. So I did that. But even though the yarns side by side and in a black and white photo really stood out against each other, they don't knitted in this cowl. You can't really see it, which is a bit of a shame. For some reason, at dusk, in like the low light in the evening, in real life, it does stand out. But the rest of the time not, and I don't really understand that. I've been trying to take photos where you can actually see the colour work pattern, but for the life of me, I've not managed to take a photo where you can actually really see it. So that is a shame, but it is really cosy. It does feel really soft. It was nice to have the experience of knitting with knitted in, but the reason why it took me so long to knit it was because I was really anxious about binding off a stretchy bind off using unspun yarn. In the past, when I've knit things in unspun yarn, I've just bound off with another yarn, but that means you get like a contrast edge, which I really didn't want with this. And so I thought if I learnt to spin at some point, then I could spin some of it and bind off with that, and that's exactly what I did. So I can tell which edge is which because one edge is really wonky. So this is the cast on edge, which I used a long tail cast on, the old Norwegian cast on I think, and I didn't spin the yarn. In hindsight I wish I had, because I think it would have given me a neater edge. And then on the cast off, bind off, I spun a little bit of yarn that was left, plied it together, and then I did a sewn bind off, and I had no problems at all actually. It doesn't look like it's any different on the bind off. Obviously I knit this with one strand held single, but it was colour work, and then for the bind off I spun 2 plies and plied them together, so it was double the amount of fibre sort of squished into a smaller space. So they kind of occupy the same amount of physical space, I guess, but it would be denser on the bind off. But I think it looks fine, it blends in, and if I ever knit anything in unspun yarn again, I would be very tempted to do that, because it just made for a much more pleasant experience doing the sewn bind off. There was no issues with it breaking. It was quite a nice yarn actually. I would be tempted to do that again, but I guess you'd end up with a lot less yarn for your money because unspun takes up quite a lot of space. Yeah, but it'd be something to think about. It was quite a nice yarn. I don't have any left. I used it all to do the bind off. So yeah. Just gonna check it's still recording, okay? Yeah. This is going to be quite a low maintenance video because I'm hoping to get this up with a fairly quick turnaround. And if I'm honest, the last few weeks have been full on. I'm sure it is for any person trying to do multiple things, like caring for anybody, whether it's a child or another person or animal or whatever, and work and do other things and have a life. It's all been quite full on, and we're going through a bit of period of change with the child. His patterns for the day are shifting. For a while we had quite a firm, reliable sort of schedule in the morning. He would go to sleep at the same time and sleep for roughly the same amount of time, so I kind of knew what I was in for. And it's all gone to hell over the last couple of weeks, and I keep getting very ill, and when I get ill it goes on for a long time and I get very tired. And because my partner's renovating a house, his spare time, his weekends are spent working on that, so he hasn't got much downtime to help me, so it's been very full on. It's been very tiring. So this afternoon is a massive treat when I get my break and he goes to nursery later. So this video is going to be a fairly unedited, you get what you get video. Some people seem to really enjoy those, so sorry if you're one of those that doesn't. And hope you're enjoying it if you are one of those that does. So I'm probably not going to trim anything out. I will hopefully put names of patterns on the screen, but apologies if I don't, they're all below. And if anything happens that's a bit annoying, you're just going to have to bear with me. Yeah, sorry, just a caveat, mid-video caveat. My last finished project, which feels like I finished ages ago now, but I think it was nearly done when I last did a normal podcast, is this tiny jumper. I think it's for a 2-year-old. It's not for him this year. I think it's for him next year. And it's called The Little Ginger by Alice somebody. I'm sorry. And it's a French pattern. So I knit it following pattern in French. I do understand some French. I lived there for a couple of years. I'm pretty bad at it, if I'm honest. But it was okay. I thought, was I a bit crazy following a jumper pattern in French because the terminology is very different? But once you Google Translate, like the key terms, it's kind of fine. Also, if you know or you understand basic jumper construction, you know what to expect. So you're kind of just matching that with what you expect. And then the chart, well, the colour work is all charted. So it's not like the worst bit you're not even following in written language, it's in the chart, so it's not a problem. So yeah, it is got little acorns, little leaves, and then some red squirrels. I knit this in some Rowan tweed yarn that I was given by a friend of my mum's who was getting rid of it. She gave me 4 or 5 balls and my intention was to use all of it, but I've still got 2 balls left, so I don't know what happened there. And then the orange and the brown. Yeah, I think the nuts were meant to be the same colour as the squirrel, but I wanted to have brown nuts and red squirrels. So I think in the pattern it's 3 colours, but I've used 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so that was my choice. I just used some scraps, just in my scrap drawer. And the white is some Raw Wool Company yarn from my advent calendar, and I'm going to use the rest to do a colourwork contrast on my next big project, which I'll talk about in a bit. So yeah, I knit this for the little boy. If I'm honest, I was mostly motivated to knit this pattern because it will go really nicely hanging on his wall because he has a woodland themed bedroom which I decorated in the summer, and so it mostly hangs up at the moment on his wall because it's too big for him. And if I do get around to it, I'll put a photo of it hanging up because it looks lovely. And so at the moment it's a bit of a room decoration, and then when he can wear it next year he will. I know that at the moment he tolerates any kind of wool or fibre. I know children tend to get more sensitive as they get older, so it does look a bit hairy. I think it might have some alpaca fibres in it, so I hope it'll be okay. But if not, I did really enjoy knitting it, and we are really enjoying looking at it. Well, I am. Baby doesn't care, obviously. Maybe he'll care later, I don't know. We shall see. So yeah, that's the Little Ginger. I really enjoyed it. Knitting small colourwork jumpers is quite good fun. But I am thinking that maybe after age 4, because I'm kind of knitting in advance now, maybe I'll only knit garments up to age 4 in case when he gets a bit older he doesn't actually like wearing wool jumpers. And then I'm not wasting too much of my time. Maybe I can gauge then when we're a bit closer to that age whether he's likely to still keep wearing them. The other thing is when we do move into our house in a couple of years, it's going to be much better insulated than our home here, which, you know, it's only the start of, oh god, it's the end of October nearly. So it's towards the end of October, so it's not the depths of winter. But when we woke up this morning, his room was 15 degrees, which is not very warm, and it took a long time to warm up. And so in this house, we do need all the layers, because this is the only room that gets warm because the fire is in here. But it's not very play friendly, if I'm honest. So yeah. Anyway, so all that to say is, we need a lot more jumpers living here than we're likely to need when we move, hopefully. But you know, we will still wear our jumpers and not put the heating on if we can help it. It would be really glorious if the house was so well insulated that we could just have the fire occasionally and not bother with the heating. That would be amazing. But I'm babbling again. So let me share. I have something that is technically finished but not really blocked. I'm just going to grab it. Sorry, that was the kind of thing I would normally edit out, which I might leave in for my own sanity. I think the camera might be wiggling there. Sorry, I'll wait for it to settle. Because I knew it was on top of the pram, just outside the door. I thought it was in that bag, but it's not. again, something that I was going to share in my last video, but I have been wearing a bit since. So this is my very seasonally appropriate Harriet Wildwood Stitches bag, which I absolutely love. I spun some yarn, and for the first time I've knit with it. I have no idea what the fibre is. Well, I know it's wool, but I don't know what breed. It was some fibre I bought at Wonderwool when I was pregnant, and it wasn't very expensive, and I liked the colour, and it was a farm fibre, and I thought it would be good for practicing spinning. So I knit this kind of, it does range really from 4-ply weight to worsted, so it is a bit wibbly, and I knit, which one's blocked? This one. The Rowan Mitts by Fox and Folk, I think her name is. Now the original pattern is short, it's only this long. Sorry, it's just now for the baby. But the chart kind of has 3 sections where there's some patterning here, patterning in the middle, patterning on the side. And so bearing in mind that the hand is like patterning on the side, patterning in the centre, patterning on the side, I did 2/3 of the chart extra. So the bit where there was patterning in the centre and patterning in the side, if that makes sense. So just to make them a bit longer, because I had the yarn, and I just like the idea of having a slightly longer mitt, because a lot of my jumpers are bracelet length sleeves, because I just find that easier for life. And so that for me works out better. So I've been wearing them whilst pushing the pram. Now only this one is blocked, this one isn't. So hopefully that one, sorry the sun's gone in. I hope it hasn't gone too dark. Are you going to come back out, sun? Yeah, it's coming back. I'm hoping that one will neaten up a bit. They are a bit scruffy because they are knit from very uneven hand spun yarn. But I'm quite pleased with them. They're very soft. I wish I could remember what breed the sheep was. I'm afraid I have no idea. So that's my, technically I guess, last finished object, but I do need to block the second mitt, which I just haven't gotten around to yet. Oh, these videos are more tiring than I remember them being. So I have 2 whips and then some thoughts and plans. Yeah, mostly all knitting. So my whips are, firstly, I'm partway through a sock. I can't remember the name of the pattern, but I know it's by Larkspur Knits, or at least I'm pretty sure it is. And I'm knitting it from this naturally dyed Corredale sock yarn by Under Eagle Mountain. I think she dyed it with sage or rosemary, and it's kind of like a woody pink rose colour. And it's a really basic textured sock pattern. I'm slightly concerned about it because for some reason it ends up being 66 stitches on the leg. Well, I think it was either 58 or 66, and I thought 58 would be too small and 66 would be too big. I think she recommends on 2.25mm needles, so maybe in hindsight I should have done 58 on 2.25, but because it's a no nylon sock yarn, I wanted them to be as hard wearing as possible, and the denser you knit your socks, the more hard wearing they are, which is why I'm doing 2mm, because I do all my socks on 2mm. It had a twisted rib, which was meant to be a lot longer, but I got really bored of it. I hated doing it. So, I don't know. I hope they're going to be okay and they're not just going to fall down, because I do want to wear them, obviously. But they are currently my work knitting project, because I have quite a lot of long online meetings, and so I quite like to have something that's easy to work on, because I have to be able to focus on the work and chat and contribute to the meeting, and I need to be able to put down the work at a moment's notice so that I can type something or, write a comment or interact. So it needs to be something where it's really obvious if I do just dump it down, that there's no confusion about where I was and where I need to pick it up. So normally I do plain socks like those stripy ones because it's just round and round and round and round, and then I'll do the heel on at home or on a lunch break or something when I can focus. But socks or like, you know, jumper bodies or jumper sleeves work out quite well for that kind of thing. I am thinking I might cast on, I'm so sorry if I say this wrong, the Musselburgh hat. It's the name of a Scottish city. I think that's how you say it, but I might have said it wrong. Because it's a completely stockinette shape for a hat, and then you turn it inside out and fold it up. So I think it would be quite an easy, quick knit. So I might do that next. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like I'd quite like to knit it with something held with mohair, so maybe I need to look at my mohair stash. Yeah. And then my last whip, sorry I'm getting a bit tired now, is something that I've not picked up for a really long time. I think I started this, I can't remember if I started this before I was pregnant or whilst I was pregnant. Okay, that wasn't my child, that was someone outside. I think before I was pregnant. What's the wrong side? It's going to be impossible to show you this properly. So this is my Find Your Fade by Andrea Mowry, and I'm using a advent calendar by Knotty Fibre Co. Maybe it was the 2023 one. I think so. I don't know if that does mean I knit it when I was pregnant. Because it's 2025 now. I'm getting so confused by the year at the moment. And yeah, I'm just plodding away on that. I think I'm going to run out of minis though, because I think I miscalculated. So the Find Your Fade is actually for 3 full skeins, but I've got 24 mini skeins and I thought I had 25. So I'm 1 mini skein short, so I don't know what I'm going to do about the last section. I might have to use something that came earlier and just hope it blends in enough. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It is a merino nylon sock blend, so I'll probably use the leftovers to make some really pretty socks. My favourite colours are kind of this bit here. But yeah, I'll probably share it in more detail when it's finished, and then I can do some B-roll of it and you can see it properly. I'm going to have so many ends to weave in. Yeah, and it's in another Harriet Wildwood Stitches bag. So this is my Christmas one, and I think normally I put it away and get it out end of November. But to be honest, it's just been living in this bag because it's quite a big project bag, and I just keep abandoning this project for months on end. So yeah, nice to keep it all together. I've been putting my little balls of hand wound up yarn in egg boxes with the numbers underneath in the sections so that I can keep track of which day is which. So I'm deciding whether to leave my finished scraps in there or just to take them out and put them in a jar, because I don't think I'm going to knit anything else with them in order. So we'll see. But anyway, that's it with my current, what I have been knitting on and what I've finished. I thought I would just share one acquisition knitting wise and one sewing acquisition, and then some thoughts. So a couple of weeks ago, before I got really ill, I went to the Cotswold Yarn Festival, which happens to be in the town that I went to college to, actually. So for people in America, here in England, when you finish secondary school, which is high school, at 16, you have a choice of whether you stay at high school for another 2 years, secondary school, and do your A-levels, or you can go to a college. So the secondary school, the high school, is obviously all of those years. I think, was it from age 12 to 16 or 18, depending on whether your secondary school does that extra bit at the end, or you can go to a college, which will just be those 2 years, 16 to 18, although you don't have to be that age to go. But there's generally more variety for courses you can take. They do the A-levels, they do more practical courses. I mean, this isn't strictly so black and white, like, you know, there are obviously variations of the two, but broadly speaking, you know, the whole educational setting will be geared at those 2 years or 3 years in some cases, and you tend to have more access to facilities and more variety on subjects. And so I went to a college because I wanted to feel, I guess, more independent, older. I didn't want to wear a uniform. I wanted to wear my own clothes. I wanted to get away from my hometown a bit. So I went to a college in Cirencester. And I did, this is a massive tangent, like an art and textiles course, along with some other more academic classes. Anyway, so I know Cirencester quite well, or at least I did however many years ago it was. And so sorry, I thought someone was coming into the house. When I saw that they were going to do their last yarn festival, I made it a mission to go, and also because I knew Lorna from Thread and Yarn was going to be there, who also coincidentally went to Cirencester College. I think we established she was a year above me. I get really confused by these things. I think she might be a year older than me. Well, a couple of months, to be honest, the way with the academic things work, with the cut-off and everything. But yeah, it was really nice to go. I went on the way to visiting my mother, and I purchased a skein of her natural nylon-free sock yarn. It is the Corredale sock, so probably a very similar base to the other one, and it's in the colour Elf Cup Mushroom. So, I mean, Elf Cup is a mushroom, and it's really gorgeous. If I do have the energy when I'm editing this video, I'll stick in a photo or a video, because I don't think that just showing you on screen is going to give it justice. It's got purples, yellows, blues, all sorts of colours. So yeah, that was my treat. And yeah, so I am therefore mulling over what my next easy project is going to be. Is it or is it going to be some socks? I have a couple of like grungy sort of sock skeins that I'm contemplating knitting up for my next socks. So this is a naturally dyed Blueface Leicester sock yarn by Handmade over Yonder, but she's not dyeing anymore. But I bought quite a few of her skeins when she closed up, so I might save them for a bigger project, like you know, maybe a sweet shop blanket or something. But do I have the perseverance for that? I don't know. Maybe in the future I would. They could maybe complement each other quite well, so that I have like maybe 6 slightly different naturally dyed sock skeins by her. So maybe. I obviously have that one I just shared, and then I have this one that I bought when I went to Scotland in April by Nervus Fibre, and this is got nylon in it, so it's a merino nylon, but I don't think it's super wash. So yeah, I don't know. I was thinking of doing the quilty cabin socks with this one or this one, but then I don't know whether to knit textured or plain socks with these. I guess I kind of want the colours to really shine. Or I could knit the muscle bar hat with it, but maybe that's a waste. I really don't know. You know, feel free to share your thoughts. And then the last thing I wanted to share, last weekend in Birmingham, there was a sewing meetup called Sobrum, and so there were a few different sort of vendors selling in Birmingham that I don't normally have access to, and one of them had a few Merchant Mills cotton fabrics, and she was doing 15% off, and so how could I not? Most of them weren't really my thing, because I'm definitely more of a linen than a cotton person, but this one did catch my eye. So this is a cotton linen blend, and I bought a metre, and it's 1.5 meters wide, and I think I can just about get a pair of bob pants out of it. But I'm trying to decide, would they look like pyjamas? So it'd be really nice to have some like more summery bob pants. I do have my blue stripy ones, which I think I could wear in a more spring summer setting. So I am a bit worried these might be luxurious pyjama bottoms, but I do think with like a cream jumper I might have like Andrea Mowry vibes. But maybe that still would look like I was in my PJs. I don't know. Let me know what you think, but I just wanted to share the fabric because it's gorgeous. So anyway, that's everything I've got to share today. I hope it was nice to have a bit of a catch up and that you had some nice making or something cosy going on. I really feel like I'm in the autumnal spirit now. I've been really getting into it. I have some yarn dyeing on the stove as we speak for my next project, which I think might be the Bluebird cardigan. I'm trying to decide. Yeah, so hope you're doing well. If you feel like supporting the channel, that my Ko-Fi account is linked below, but no worries. Yeah, so have a nice rest of day, whatever you're doing, and speak soon. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.